Monte had a rough time through school, but he finally made it, and he made it to his high school, and his father decided, I'm not going to move this year so Monte can finish high school. Monte worked hard, came down to the last couple of weeks of school. In his English class, his instructor said, she said to him, to the whole class, I want everybody here to write out, in 2 or 3 pages, to write out your future, what you see yourself doing in the future. Monte, though had a little rough time, but he understood that, and he understood, hey, I can write this out. So he sat down and wrote out what he believed his future was going to be. And when he got through writing it out, he was so proud of himself. He described himself and said, I'm going to own a 200-acre ranch. I'm going to have a 4,000 square foot house. I'm going to have horses that require a large fee for breeding, and I'm going to do this and that. Man, he laid that whole thing out. He even talked about where the fence was going to lie and where the corrals were going to be. He laid that thing out in such detail. He was so proud of himself. And he turned that paper in, and when he turned it in, he waited, and about 2 days later, the teacher passed all the papers out. All the kids were happy, but one person got an F, and it was Monte. That boy was devastated. He turned around and said, what in the world? The teacher said, wrote on there, see me afterwards. And he said, why did you give me an F? I did what you asked. She said, I gave you an F because what you wrote was not realistic. She said, Monte, you're poor. You're from a poor family. Your education is just barely making it. Your father doesn't have the kind of connections that would allow you to do what you wrote about. Your family background does not give itself to that kind of thing. You need to have great sums of money to even think about that. Now, what I'm willing to do, because I want to graduate, what I'm willing to do, I'm going to give you back this paper. And if you rewrite it, I'll change your grade. Monte stood there for a moment, thought about what she said, and then turned around and gave her back the paper.
I know that's right.
And he said, I tell you what, you can keep the paper and I'll keep my dream. About 15 years later, maybe 12 to 15 years later, Monte got a phone call. And the lady on the other end said, Monte? He said, yes. Monte, this is your English teacher. I hope you don't mind me calling you. He said, no problem. I remember you. She said, Monte, if you don't mind, I'd like to bring 30 students to see you.
All right.
I'd like to see whether or not you would allow them to stay on your ranch. I just want to know, Monte, would you take some time out and spend a little time with these kids? I think if you talk to them, I believe they can make it. Monte said, bring them. I'll be glad to have them. Well, where did she take them? She took them to a 200-acre ranch with a 4,000 square foot house.
My Lord.
Everything Monte had described on that paper, 15 years later, he had it. All he had to do was move from a negative mindset
to a positive.
Tonight, will you stand with me and open your Bibles to Luke chapter 5.